bride's side and the groom's side. We're a little heavy weighted, but I'm going to introduce Debbie in just a moment. Debbie with Spring Grove Cemetery has put up with me daily, probably for the last month. You can save those remarks.
Okay.
But this week has been so hard to plan. Anybody been watching the weather like I have, like every hour? I keep I was telling her every time I refresh, the chance of thunderstorms drop like 5%. I said if I refresh enough, I guess I did. But this is the first ceremony of 5 that we've done that has not been standing at the gravesite. We knew there was a high chance of lightning, high winds, heavy rain, wet ground, mud, mosquitoes, everything that goes with that. So we decided to switch it, rain or shine, and now it's a beautiful day here at Spring Grove. When the service is over, we will take a little caravan. Anybody wants to go see his marker in person. We do have a photo of it that we will unveil a little later, but if you want to actually go see where it's at, so you'll be able to find it. It's one of those markers that you have to know where it's at to find it. It's pretty well hidden, but not nearly as hidden as it was 6 months ago when it was completely lost. Okay, I will try to stick to my words a little bit so we can keep I want to be respectful of your time today. I'd like to thank Spring Grove Cemetery for working with my many requests, phone calls, and emails. Spring Grove has done so much for our group without us paying anything. I can't imagine what they would do for you if you actually used them for your burial or cremation needs. It's not an ad for them, it's just a fact. They've bent over backwards, they've offered this room. They were going to do a tent and chairs, all at no cost for us to gather here today for someone who was buried in the 1960s. So that's very, very helpful to us. It also helped that this is our second honoree in the cemetery, so we already had a relationship, and I didn't burn any bridges the first time, so this worked well. We actually have number 3 already lined up, and it will be here sometime next year, we think, next year. And then there is a possibility of a 4th Reds player buried in Spring Grove in an unmarked grave. It's the only ones that we know of who are unmarked. There are many former Reds players buried in Spring Grove, and Reds front office people and ownership buried here that are marked. And Thomas will explain a little bit more about our criteria for that in just a moment. I do want to thank Lewin Monuments. They're in Fort Mitchell, Kentucky. We met them when we did the grave installation for Robert Clark. Their monument is right across the street from St. Mary's. If the monuments weren't so heavy, they could have just carried it across, because literally it's as close as from here to the fountain, from their office to where they installed Robert Clark's marker. So I've been working directly with Brad Leake. His father-in-law, Scott Lewin, is the owner. I just thank them for everything they've done to help us, including a discount, because we do have to raise money to do these projects. So we try to be good stewards of the money that's donated to us. Special thanks to Rick Walls. Rick is not here today because he is on a cruise, which, if you're not going to be here, you might as well be on a cruise. I'm assuming it's a work-related cruise.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, Rick Walls is the executive director of the Reds Hall of Fame. Rick and I have a really good relationship. We've partnered with each other with several different charities. The Cincinnati Reds have supported what we do extremely well. This is our 6th project, and the support that we've got from them just continues, and we appreciate that. Standing in for Rick today, and he's going to speak a little bit later, is Perry Thacker. So we're glad to have Perry And he'll explain a little bit about the other guys that are here in uniform today to honor Larry. I also want to thank quickly Debbie Buckley, because she may be watching. Debbie Buckley is an acquaintance of mine who also is a relative who I've never met. My son has met her, my wife has met her, everybody says she's a cousin of mine. She works with some of the museums and other places in northern Kentucky doing work with their history and archives and all that. And she is a master of Ancestry.com. And she is the one who lined me up with Wendy, which got this whole process started. So we appreciate what she's willing to do, because I'm too cheap to pay $29.95 a month for Ancestry.com. And with that, I do thank Wendy Nagel and the entire family. She can, I'm going to give her a chance to speak at the end as well, and she can tell you some of the other family members. But these projects would be no fun without the family support. And they're just, it means everything to have you all here and supporting what we're doing. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to my co-founder of Gone But Not Forgotten, the MLB Unmarked Graves Project, Thomas Booker, and he's going to share with you a little bit about our history and how this got started.
Hey there, I'm Thomas Booker. I'm a licensed funeral director and embalmer in the state of Tennessee and have been for 25 years. I'm also a baseball historian, so today I kind of feel at home. Just wanted to go over our group history. Gone But Not Forgotten began several years ago. David discovered there was a former Cincinnati Reds player buried in Lexington Cemetery in his hometown of Lexington, Kentucky. He reached out to me, and together we were able to provide a headstone for Mr. Theodore Conover, who played for the Reds in one game in 1889. Looking back, we probably thought that would be the only project we would do, but the response to that project was tremendous, and we looked to see if there were other Cincinnati Reds players who were buried in unmarked graves in our area. We set our sights on another project, and we honored Mr. Hank Gastright. Hank also only played one game for the Reds. He played for them in 1896. This was the last game in Hank's nice big league career. He had been a 30-game winner and had pitched a no-hitter earlier in his career. He was buried in the St. Joseph Cemetery in Wilder, Kentucky in 1937. We unveiled his marker on August the 18th, 2022. Our third project honored Mr. Bob Clark. Bob played for the Reds in 16 games in 1891 after several years for the Brooklyn team, which is now the Los Angeles Dodgers organization. Mr. Bob was buried in St. Mary's Cemetery in Fort Mitchell, Kentucky in 1919. We unveiled his marker on November 16, 2024. Between the Gastright and Clark projects, we were delighted to be able to honor Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame member Mr. Paul Derringer with a bronze memorial plaque y'all may have seen at the historic site of Crosley Field on the property currently owned by City Gospel Mission. We raised all funding, designed and purchased the plaque. We then partnered with the Reds Hall of Fame, the City Gospel Mission, also with General Electric, to have the plaque installed on the base of the replica light tower located on the site. Our fourth headstone installation project honored Mr. Icicle Reeder. He played for the Reds in 3 games in 1884. We honored him on November the 1st of last year. His marked grave can be seen today here in Spring Grove Cemetery in section 121. So today we're going to honor Mr. Larry Jacobus. We don't know how many more we will do, but we do have number 6 in the works, and we will be sharing his name in the coming weeks. It will also be right here in Spring Grove Cemetery, as David recently mentioned. We are thankful for those who have helped us through these projects. We rely on contributions from individuals who appreciate what we are doing and donate to cover our costs. If you want to help donate future projects, or you do want to help designate for today's installation, please see David or myself after the revealing, and we're happy to help with any questions. Thank y'all very much.
Make sure we're not leaving out anything. Okay, so today, Larry Jacobus. Somebody came up here, I think Perry said, well, was Stuart related to Larry? They were the same. That was part of the early issues with us doing this is always trying to find out true facts, because things oftentimes are put into public record that aren't really accurate, and so we have to kind of poke around sometime to figure out that. So as I do with each one of these, I do write out my words, because if I don't, you'll be here till tomorrow, or you'll leave and I'll be here till tomorrow. So we did move. How did it get?
I don't know.
Hold on. Can you play some music? Hold on. Do what? Here we go. I just have a page backwards. It's better now. I can edit this out on the video. Channel 12, can you edit this out, please? We are glad to have Channel 12 with us today. They have supported every one of our projects, including the first one. They drove to Lexington to cover that one. So I'm glad I have page one. It would be funny without page one. Okay. Officially now, I'd like to welcome each one of you here today for this special occasion. I'd like to thank the family members again of Larry Jacobus for putting up with me through this process. I have found that when it comes to locating descendants of these ball players that we honor, there's a very fine line between researching and stalking. It always takes a little time to gain the trust of the families that we honor through these projects. We gathered today to celebrate the marking of the gravesite of Larry Jacobus. It's been nearly 61 years since he was buried in Spring Grove shortly after his death on August 19, 1965, at the age of 70. This is the 5th gravestone installation we have provided, and like most of the other 4, it was initially difficult to verify some of his basic information. Public records and other accounts of his name have his name spelled differently, listed in various ways. Even his date of birth is different depending on where you look at it. Red flag last week. Debbie calls and says, are we sure this is the right birthday? Because what we have isn't the same as on the stone. I said, yeah, what's on the stone is correct. So the cemetery has updated to, with family knowledge, that it's okay. I didn't tell them to change it, but we corrected that issue. It was just 2 days off. I don't know much about his early years, other than he was born in Cincinnati. We start to see his professional baseball records of him in 1915. He was about 20 years old. There are reports, however, that he was playing semi-pro baseball before that. His first stop as a professional was with the Portsmouth Cobblers. Cemetery was so kind to blow up this picture so you could see it. He's 20 years old. This number 3 is Larry. That is AI enhanced with color only. That's pretty accurate. Black and white looks just like that, but we added a little color. So they played in Mill Park, which is the picture. It's a postcard that I had colored and blew up a little bit. But that's, if you want to come up and look at these pictures. Yeah, I think he looked it up on the map, and it's been torn down. There's a Walmart. Yeah. So he played with the Cobblers, the Portsmouth Cobblers in Portsmouth, Ohio. His baseball career started out very well. His pitching, he was a pitcher. His win-loss record was 19-9, so he was almost a 20-game winner his first year. And the Cobblers won the pennant. I think I read somewhere that it was like a year or 2 later before he ever played on a team that did not win the pennant. From the time he started all the way up, he was playing on winning teams. And that may not be, maybe not coincidental that he was on those teams and helped them out. That was the final season for the Cobblers. As the Cobblers in 1916, they became the Truckers. And Larry started out that season with them, but he never played that season. He ended up going to the Texas League and so he did not have any stats with the truckers. I do go down rabbit holes with these, and the first one for me was interesting. Hopefully it will be for you. It'll be quick otherwise. The Portsmouth team was in the same division as Lexington, Kentucky. So I was able to look at my own hometown newspapers and see when they came in and see what some of the Lexington reporters said about the visiting team, who normally they don't brag on too much. It's the bad guys. So here's two short articles that I pulled out of the Lexington paper from 1915. Jacobus is a particular nemesis of the Lexington team. His appearance in the pinches, he was a pinch hitter, batting Monday for Hancock and Tuesday for Ferguson, opening the way for a late batting rallies which stole a seeming safely by the Colts and transferred into the same end of a game score. Jacobus is a powerful hitter, and his unassuming, awkward attitude at bat is disconcerting. He also is a winning pitcher and a valuable man to have on the mound. And just a few days later, it said manager Charles Spencer remained behind the team in Ironton, but will arrive here today. In his absence, outfielder Diltz had charge of the team, and Jacobus played first base to his entire credit. Jacobus is one of the most versatile ball players in the Ohio State League and is a valuable man on the pitcher's mound. So in 1916, we find Larry playing the Galveston, Texas team. And this was a report from his very first game for Galveston. Quoting them, it says, in his first start since joining the club, Jacobus, backed by flawless fielding, shut out Shreveport 1-0. A squeeze play scored the only run. And then the box score shows that he only allowed 5 hits that game, and he would have a record of 2-3 and 10-13 in 1917 with Galveston. And that was professional ball. Those are the stats that started. If you look at him up on Baseball Reference, those are his official baseball stats. September 1917, he was drafted by the Cincinnati Reds. That's why we're here today. It was the Rule 5 draft, which has been around a long time, a little different then than it is now, but that's what they called it even then. During that off season, Larry could be found with a much heavier ball, bowling. This is a later picture up here, but from very early on, he was known for his bowling prowess. February the 2nd, 1918, the Cincinnati Post reported that Larry Jacobus, and I like the fact they always gave the address, 1413 Jones Street, North Side, will try to win a place on the Red pitching staff this season. It is not likely to be called, because he is not likely to be called into the Army service this year. His selected service board placed him in Class 4. Larry has been bowling in the City League this winter and will roll with Christy Matheson's team in the ABC tournament. You know Christy Matheson? Has a pretty good record, right? I'm going to mention him a little bit more in a minute. That was his manager that first year, but this was before he actually played, so this would have been like spring training during the off season between signing and playing. And then on February 14th, they also reported, most of this came from the Post back in those days, but Christy Matheson's nickname,
Big Six.
well, at least what it was then, they called him Matty. So when I say Matty, that's usually talking about the manager, Christy Matheson. So it said, Matty's Red bowling team will have 2 good bowlers on it and 3 dark horses. Matty, Hal Chase, and Tom Griffith, which were other Reds players at the time, are the dark horses. They make no claims as bowlers, but they hope to get a few pins. Heine Grove, that's Heine down here, again, this is later, but they were connected even earlier. And Larry Jacobus, though, are star bowlers. Out in Northside, where Larry bowls regularly, I love this. You remember, if you go to bowling alleys now, it's all automatic. Do you remember how it was before that?
Yeah.
You had to place them by hand. So here's what the paper reported. The pin boys take to the roof when the ball leaves his hand and starts down the alley. He uses a straight ball of tremendous speed that sends the pins flying in all directions. It's likely that Matty's team will appear on the alleys in their baseball uniforms. There are hundreds of newspaper articles about Larry Jacobus bowling. There's more articles about him bowling than there is about him playing baseball. If you want to go down that rabbit hole on newspapers.com. So Larry and the Reds, he was drafted, but Larry and the Reds made it official in mid-February. On February 19th, the Cincinnati Post reported that Larry Jacobus, Northside boy, whom the Reds drafted from the Texas League last fall, is the latest Red to sign a contract. And it was clear that Larry was excited to play for his hometown team. Some of the others we've done, we've speculated. They grew up within sight of Redland Field or Crosley Field, but, were they fans or did they, but the papers reported that Larry Jacobus, Red pitcher, was born within a short distance of Redland Field and has lived in Cincinnati all his life, but he never has played a game of ball on Redland Field or the old league park that preceded the present home of Maddie's hopefuls. Therefore, he's eagerly looking forward to the return of Redland of Maddie's squad because he wants to see how it feels to get out on a different Maddie, to get out on Maddie Schwab's smooth infield and show his wares. He has played with a number of semi-pro teams that performed at Redland Field, but he never took part in a game there with any one of them. So quickly on those two, I mentioned earlier, Maddie refers to Christy Matheson. A little, very short bio, because I forget. Matheson played 16 and a half seasons with the New York Giants, which is now the San Francisco Giants. He was an ace pitcher. His win-loss record, 373 wins and 188 losses. Lifetime ERA of 2.13. He was in the first class of players inducted into the National Baseball Hall of Fame. He went in with four guys that you may have also heard of: Ty Cobb, Babe Ruth, Honus Wagner, and Walter Johnson. And Larry was able to play for him and get advice from this pitcher. In that time, there may be some other pitchers now that you may say, well, they're better than him, but at that time, no one was better. Matty Schwab, who had mentioned, this was fun for me to research. He was a head groundskeeper for the Reds from 1903. Redland Field, which became Crosley Field, didn't open until 1912. So from 1903 to 1963, for 60 years, he was the head groundskeeper. He followed his father in that position. He was responsible for major innovations in field drainage systems and inspired by the use on golf courses. He pioneered the first use of sprinkler systems on major league ballparks. Apparently a Renaissance man of sorts, he also designed and built scoreboards, including those at League Park in 1894 and then Redland Field, Crosley Field. He designed that scoreboard. He also designed scoreboards that were used for the Polo Grounds and Yankee Stadium in New York, and Brooklyn's Ebbets Field, and major league ballparks in Boston, Pittsburgh, and Philadelphia. So this Matty Schwab is like the icon of groundskeepers, and evidently his fields were more lush than others, and that's why the report said Larry would like to play on his field. Back to Larry. A week later, after he had signed, the Post reported Larry was looking forward to playing in Cincinnati, and now they report that Jacobus was saving his arm. They said the pitching that Larry Jacobus did, the Northside boy, that he's done for the Reds in practice games so far should not be counted against him. Larry is a spitball pitcher, but so far he has not made use of his moist delivery. He is getting his arm in shape and relying on dry curves. Opposing teams have belted these rather freely. But Larry believes that when he begins using the spitter, he'll show Matty enough to win a regular job for the Reds. A few days later, the Cincinnati Post reported that Larry Jacobus, Northside boy, who was drafted by the Reds last fall, has been let out or let go by manager Matheson without having a chance to play a game. It was Larry's ambition to pitch at Redland Field before his fellow townsmen, but sickness has kept him on the inactive list practically all season. So Matty decided to send him to Indianapolis. But 2 days later, Indianapolis, it was reported by the Post that Jacobus can't go to Indianapolis because they don't allow spitball. And that was his main reliance. So Larry reported back to the Texas League, the Dallas-Fort Worth. So he's back where he spent most of his career in Texas. Are you familiar with Wally Pipp? The Wally Pipp, Lou Gehrig story? The tale is, and it may be a tale, June 2nd, 1925, Wally Pipp was slumping and he took himself out of the lineup. He complained he had a headache. And he was replaced at first base by Lou Gehrig. Pipp would never get his starting position back. Lou Gehrig went on to appear in the next 2,130 games straight without missing and held that record until Cal Ripken took it. Well, there was a young phenomenal athlete by the name of Thomas Bowman, whose nickname was Turkey, who was in line to join the Reds relief staff, but he left baseball for a much better reason. He left to join the military. World War I had started, and he signed up. He volunteered to go. On July the 8th, 1918, the Post reported the youngster Bowman was expected to bolster the Reds team to some extent, but he has not appeared, so Matty was forced to seek other relief. He has wired Larry Jacobus to return for further trial. Jacobus, who made the southern training trip with the Reds, has been pitching in Dallas in the Texas League, and he has been doing incredible work. 1 week later, after he got that call or that wire, July 15th, 1918, Larry Jacobus made his major league debut playing for the Cincinnati Reds. He climbed on the mound at Redland Field on that Monday afternoon, relieving starter pitcher Fred Toney in the 8th inning, and set the New York Giants down in order. He returned for the 9th inning. He gave up a single and a walk, but got out of the inning without allowing a run, and the Reds lost to the Giants. He would make 5 relief appearances with the Reds in 1918. He pitched 17 3rd innings. His record was 0-1. He had a 5.71 ERA. His last appearance for the Reds was exactly 108 years ago today, August 1st, 1918. In that final appearance, he pitched 1 inning and took care of the Brooklyn Robins, 3 up, 3 down, striking out high Myers to what became the end of his major league career. He would be released by the Reds on August 13th. The Pittsburgh Press reported, and this is probably the only knock I ever heard, and I think it's just Pittsburgh, you know? It said he was not in shape to work, and he was of no use to them. He had been a Cincinnati Red for 29 days. It seems that he was able to develop some close friendships in those days, especially with Matheson and Heine Grove. He returned to the Texas League and continued to play professional baseball for another 10 years, mainly with Beaumont and Houston. He pitched a no-hitter for Beaumont on September 9, 1922 against Houston. His last entry in Baseball Reference was 1927 at the age of 32. And I try to kind of find out what family likes to know sometimes what kind of jobs they had. I didn't know how to work it in before that, but in 1920 there was a reference that his occupation was he was in the printing ink business. So he was a printer at one point for a while. So that last report, I wonder why he got out of baseball, because he was still young enough to keep playing, especially at that level. So newspaper reports tell us why his career ended. February 8, 1928, Cincinnati Post reported that Stuart Larry Jacobus, 1413 Abjones Street, pitcher for the Houston club, the Texas League for the past 10 years, is minus his right eye as a result of an auto accident on Langland Street. That was a very icy day in Cincinnati. Jacobus was driving home after taking his child to Sunday school. His car skidded on a slope, hitting a tree full broadside. He was unable fully to account for what happened to his eye, but he believes it struck the spark control. My cars have never had a spark control, but anyway, I guess it was close. 4 specialists tried last week to save his sight, or at least the eye, but when Dr. Vail gave it his opinion that the sight was gone, Jacobus consented to the removal of the optic. Jacobus plans to remain in baseball with the Houston club if he finds that he can play with one eye. It will take a trial to determine that. Larry was tried out by the Reds in 1918, and as we know now, he evidently was unable to make it with one eye, so that was his last entry. 1941 brought World War II, and we find that Stuart Lewis Jacobus had to register again. He had to register in World War I, and now at the age of 47, he's registering again with the Army. But I thought it was interesting on his registration card that he is now working for Green Line Steamers. Green Line Steamers was a steamship freight business established in 1890. By the time Larry worked there, they were specializing in local freight transportation there on the river, and pioneering the business of passenger pleasure cruises. They did add what most of you will recognize. In 1946, they added the famous Delta Queen to their fleet. I don't know if Larry was still there when the Delta Queen made its debut or not, but it was about that same time. 1949, he was mentioned by the Enquirer that Larry Jacobus, former Redleg, has been engaged at third base coach of the Becker Close team in the Buckeye League. So even though he was no longer playing, he was still involved in it. So even after his baseball career ended, Larry could be found at the bowling alley. I found this picture of Larry from February 1945 with teammate 1918 Reds team Heine Grove. The article mentions that Larry had been bowling for 15 years. There are bowling articles of Larry going through the late 1950s. For me, that timeline of just bowling on a near professional level, and I never saw whether he was ever paid to bowl, but I think probably so, was 30 years of bowling. 1958, he made headlines all the time, but I had a couple really short ones. 1958, they said Larry Jacobus, former Reds pitcher, went on a scoring spree. Somebody mentioned the black ball. That was called Black Beauty, right? I remember my mom and dad both had one. You couldn't spin it. There wasn't, they weren't these new balls that you could do what you want to do. And so it was difficult. 600 was almost outheard of in those days. But Larry Jacobus, former Reds pitcher, went on a scoring spree, which fell just 7 pins short of 700 at Murgod's Northside Lanes Tuesday night when he fired, for you bowling enthusiasts, his series was a 229, 222, 242 for the Bavarian beer in the Texas Night Social League. And well past his playing days, we see that the Reds continue to associate with Larry. Every year from 1961 through 1964, I found accounts where it was reported that Larry would be participating in what they called then former Major League Players Day. We now affectionately usually call the old timers games at Crosley Field. So he was invited and came to each one of those. And I would like to share one final report. Hopefully this is news to you because I thought this was fun and I saved it for the end. One final report to let Larry's family know a little bit more about his life. This came from the Houston Chronicle on August the 9th, 1926. The headline was, "Jake becomes real artist to broadcast." The article said, Stuart Jacobus, spitball artist for the Houston Buffaloes, who Sunday proved his work as a relief man, will make his first bow to radio audiences this evening. He is to be featured on the program of KFVI from 9 to 9:30. Jacobus tickles the strings of a banjo, doing both solo work and playing his own accompaniments for the songs he sings. He is rated the best entertainer in the Texas League. It's highly probable, this is still quoting from that article, it's highly probable that Hack Miller, hard-hitting outfield of the Buffs, will also appear at the 9 o'clock program. Hack is known in professional baseball circles as the guitar expert, and he and Jake have been working up a few numbers. The regular type of entertainment that the boys are in the habit of presenting at hotels around the Texas circuit will be presented before the microphones. Do you know that? I did find Hack Miller, if you'll look him up. He was the strongest man in baseball. His father was the strongest man in the world. He was a circus performer, and Hack took over part of his stuff, and he was known to take nails and put them in his teeth and bend them, and to take a nail and wrap some cloth around his hand and hammer them into wood. Hack Miller. Look up Hack Miller. All these rabbit holes are so funny. Larry died August 19, 1965, at his home in Cincinnati. He was 70 years old. His obituary mentioned that he was 71. He was 70, if we do the math at all. And then I'm going to read his obituary. It's really short. And then I'm going to let some people just say a few words for us, and then we're going to unveil. Or we're going to unveil first. We're going to unveil first. So his obituary in the paper read, services for Stuart, Larry Jacobus, 71, which we know was 70. A pitcher for the Cincinnati Red in 1918. Will be at 9:30 a.m. Monday in the Charles A. Miller Funeral Home, North Side. Burial will be in Spring Grove. Mr. Jacobus died Thursday at his home, 7027 Ellen Avenue, North College Hill. He was a member of the ball players of yesterday and was a custodian at Murgod's Bowling Lane in College Hill. He leaves a brother Burton from Cincinnati. Friends may call from 4 to 9 p.m. Sunday at the funeral home. I deleted 2 hours worth of stuff. This was the most fun research I have done because he, as far back as this goes, he's the youngest of anybody we've done. There's just more stuff, right? Trying to decide what to mention and what not to mention. But if you have questions about anything, I'd be glad to talk to you. I did some printouts. I had printouts for the family of the articles, so you can see, you can actually read where I pulled this stuff from. Yeah, Stuart Larry Jacobus was an interesting person. Are you ready to see what this looks like? We'll do that. Let me step over, because I'm going to turn our camera. We're doing this for our Facebook. All right.
Do you want to flip it? I'll hold the easel.
No, you're fine. So each cemetery, and then most cemeteries like Spring Grove, each section has different rules. The first 3 projects we did upright markers, which you could see from the road. The section that Larry's in and the section that Icicle Leader was in last year are both where they're required to be a flat stone. So if you wonder why some get an upright and some don't, we would prefer uprights each time because it makes a better presentation. But these are a lot easier to mow around. So you do have that. You want to read it out loud so we'll have that on camera too? So
Yeah. Stuart Larry Jacobus, December 13th, 1894 to August 19th, 1965. Played professional baseball for many years, including the Cincinnati Reds in 1918, and gone but not forgotten.
So I've asked Perry to come up and just say a few words on behalf of the Reds Hall of Fame.
Obviously, he doesn't really know me. I have no few words in my life. So, just want to move down. I'm afraid if I shut this down. You know, you mentioned that our executive director, Rick Walls, is scheduled to be here, but he's on a cruise. And I asked him, I said, you know, Rick, is somebody replacing you? Because I've been to quite a few of these. And his comment was, yes, you. And I'm like, okay. So before I start on this, I want to share a little bit about my guys back there. The reason why they're my guys, don't call them that, is because they were part of the 1869 Cincinnati Red part of the 1869 Red Stockings. Now, in 1869, that team went 57-0, averaging 42 runs a game. In one game, they scored 103. So if anybody ever been to a T-ball game, it'd be like watching 3 of them in a row. Now these guys don't average 42. Do you?
Yeah, we're lucky, sir.
But what I do with that team is not play. They've asked me to do that. I organize help do their scheduling, and try to motivate them. It's something that we believe that is called a brotherhood. These guys will stand up for each other. They're there, you need them. It's a brotherhood. So, the thing I'd like to do is I'd like to introduce my brothers in arms back there. And I'm going to introduce them by the names that I know them by. Okay? First off, Big Doc. Why do we call him Big Doc? It's not because of the size. It's because I have 3 Docs on the team. I told him I need, not Tompkins. I need no Pete. So we need a couple more Docs. I have Big Doc, and then I have Doc, no Doc. Big Doc is normally our arbiter, judge, or umpire, is what you would know today. He knows the rules. He entertains the guests by sharing things with them. It's amazing. That's what he did. He took over my job that I used to do. So it's wonderful. By the way, I'm sorry my voice is a little raspy. No, it's not for me yelling at those guys. Just one of those things. In the middle, that is Tex. Tex is our curler. Pitcher. Interesting rules on pitchers, but instead of me going into that, all I can tell you is there's not too many times when at the end of the season Tex has a broken at least one finger. So that happens. And lastly, I have Hoss. Met him at a Reds game. Sitting there beside him with his wife, and his wife was asking questions, and she looked over him and said, "You need to do this." Next thing I know, Hoss was on my team. Yeah, he didn't argue with it. So, there's a bunch of them. We have a lot of guys on our roster. Anyway, so, I can't do anything about it. Now, as I was thinking about, on my drive here, I was thinking about what we do. What we do at the Hall of Fame. And I can tell you, when all this started, it became something very personal, not only to me, but to people at the Hall of Fame, just to let you know. And one thing that I started thinking about was our mission at the Hall of Fame. Our shortened version of a mission statement, which is celebrating greatness, preserving history, and providing inspiration. Now, I started saying, wait a minute. I mean, let's think about it. How cool is it that these guys are bringing this in life? That is great. And being a part of that truly is a chance for us to celebrate the greatness. So that's our common thread, so to speak. Preserving history. Again, that's something we do at the Hall of Fame. We like to preserve all the history of baseball. This great game of baseball, by the way, in 1869 it was baseball. 2 words. So, preserving history, I don't even have to talk about that. These guys do that all the time. Then the last one, provide inspiration. Now, it's one of those things that people might think about the inspiration part and say, well, what's that got to do with it? If you cannot be inspired by the research, by what it takes to come up with this, by their own effort, the hours that they spend doing this for baseball, for this great game of baseball. I'm finding out some of these guys that may have played 15 minutes. That's more than 15 minutes more than I played. So it still takes some kind of talent to get there. To me, this is a talent as well. Just to be able to provide that inspiration for all of us, to grow into it, to see it. So as I finish up here, it really sort of got me. These players that are here, yeah, you know what? They may not have been the superstars of today. They didn't make millions of money at all. $500,000, yes, no. They didn't make that. Some of them never played. I mean, they really didn't get the opportunities. But yet, we're here. We're here celebrating that. So I find that to be inspirational. I find that really to be something that all of us can be proud of. So first off, thank you guests, thank you family, thank you friends for being here with us to share this story. Now, I did ask him about the names. That's no joke of mine. I thought his name was there. Let me change my notes here. But, you know, it is really, honestly, something that I would love to have the opportunity to have one conversation with all these guys that you have worked with. Work to do this way. I would love that opportunity just one time to go up and tell them, you know, Mr. Jacobus, you may be gone, but you're not forgotten. So that's all I'm going to take the time to say right now. And I could speak forever about these kind of things because I love the history of baseball. And if you don't believe me, ask those guys back there. I drive them crazy when something happens. I'm like, oh, did you know in 1918? So thank you very much for your time. Welcome, and thank you for being here with us to share.
Are you ready?
I thought I was going after
Oh,
one.
do I have? Yeah, you are. Don't I? I have Wendy down there. Would you like to say a few words, Wendy, on behalf of the family?
Yeah.
Right? Or Ann, somebody just.
Yes,
Yeah. And then we'll let Debbie say some words on behalf of the cemetery. All right, teacher.
Yeah, my classroom.
Yeah.
I just want to thank you guys so much for everything. This is too much, David. But thank you so much for coming. All of you cousins and nieces and nephews and brother-in-law. We really appreciate it.
And the big one I get to throw in, he was a southpaw. And I had not heard it or seen it anywhere.
She's a lefty.
Mom told me.
I think I did see. Problem I have if I don't have notes in front of me, I've already started researching the next one, and they start blending. But I think I saw him listed as a switch hitter, though. So
Okay, well, I'm left-handed, and
Yeah.
Mom used to always tell me that's where I got my left-handedness.
And my brother got his eye. Definitely.
Thank you all. It's been just wonderful. Thank you.
Debbie Brand has put up with me more than anybody, well, except Thomas. Thomas put up with me a lot. I just appreciate her so much. We're gonna give her time to come and share however long we would like to talk. She said 4 minutes. Start the stop.
That's all right. Just like that.
Good afternoon and welcome to beautiful Spring Grove Cemetery and Arboretum on what was supposed to be a not so nice day, but has turned out to be beautiful, and I'm glad you can see us at our best today. I'm Debbie Brandt and I'm the historian here at the Grove. Being historian, I go down a lot of rabbit holes because when the phone rings, I never know who is going to be on the other end or what they're going to ask of me. So when David Shannon called me and explained what Major League Baseball Gone But Not Forgotten group does, I thought, this is pretty interesting. He gave me 5 names of players who are buried here and asked me to verify if they had markers or not. Now, here at Spring Grove, we have a list of notable burials that are available to the public so they can find burial sites. These include athletes from various sports, celebrities, politicians, authors, people from the business world, and many other people who are notable in some way, not notorious. We also have a separate listing of notables from the baseball world. Edward Reeder was not on that list, but he is now. Stuart, Jacobus, Emil Haber, Charlie Case, and Harry Wheeler were. So I went to look for them. No one had a marker. But then I noticed some discrepancies during my search. The Find a Grave website said Charlie Case is here, but they don't give his exact location, which was odd. Looking through our records, I realized we do have a Charlie Case here, buried in section 40, but he's not the baseball player. Our Mr. Case died falling from scaffolding before the Reds baseball player, Charlie Case, was even born. Doing a little more digging, I believe Charlie Case, the ball player, is buried in Claremont County, either at Shiloh Cemetery where his parents are, or in Batavia Cemetery, as that's where he lived, was married, and died. And that's a little far to bring somebody to be buried here, although it does happen. But that's someone else's rabbit hole now. I also discovered we had Stuart Jacobus' name spelled wrong, and we had the wrong birth date. Those have been corrected in our system. But if you look him up through our Locate a Loved One, you type it in like that, you'll find him. But if you go to his burial card, it's still spelled incorrectly because we correct it, but those don't get rescanned to be put back out on the website. In starting my scavenger hunt looking for the graves, 2 of the 5 were out in the open. The other 3 were not. I found myself climbing through ivy beds, wading through northern sea oats, yes, I learned a new plant, and pushing through tree and arborvitae limbs. In locating Mr. Jacobus' grave, you might say I took one for the team, because getting under those limbs, I managed to get into poison ivy, and poison ivy loves me. Fortunately, I've either finally outgrown my reaction to it or I caught it in time because it wasn't too bad this time. And I have forgiven you for that, David.
It's that 3-leaf.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I got Brian, our director of horticulture, out to the site to discuss what we could do about the trees hiding the graves, he said, those trees shouldn't have been planted here in the first place. He said, they're not in the alley. I thought, yes, he'll cut them down. But no, I should have known better. Because having a hort crew take down a tree pretty much requires an act of God, and I mean that literally. But Brian did limb them up, and he said they were going to spray sometime this week. Spray for what? I don't know, but I hope it was poison ivy. After today's ceremony is over, and providing the weather is going to cooperate, which it looks like, I'll be happy to lead you out there so you can see the real marker. And if you ever need anything, please do not hesitate to reach out to me, and I will help you in whatever way I can. Thank you all for coming today.
Last word says final remarks. I wasn't sure what they were going to be until now. She mentioned she was looking for 5 graves. If you've done your math, we've done 2. And the next one, I'll share with you and let you know who that's going to be. I've already contacted family, and we don't know who it'll be. But his name was Emil Haber, Emil Haberer. To know those things, if you like history, like Cincinnati Red's history, let alone baseball history, Haber and Company owned a carriage company, and it was a huge, I was thinking this small little, 2-car garage, but this was a major plant, multiple building complex. They built carriages, and then when the automobile destroyed the carriage business, they converted and started making automobiles, and they made Cincinnati's most famous iconic car in the 1920s, the Cino, or Cino, C-I-N-O, Cincinnati, Ohio. The Cino car was way ahead of its time. It said it's better than the other cars, and they meant the ones that were made by Ford and them, because this one was made to go up and down the hills of Cincinnati. So, it won all kinds of speed records. I think it broke a speed record. It was doing like 55 miles an hour. So, the Cino, but that's the family, and Emil played for the Reds 3 different stints over a period of 10 years. So interesting guy. It'll be here at some point. Actually, what's we noticed, Debbie and I and Thomas went before he came. Icicle Reader, Larry Jacobus, Emil Haberer, I always say Haberer, are within walking distance of this huge cemetery, and they are really close. Anyway, that's what we have. I do have the items here. I'll share this one because it's the exception. I was able to buy on eBay a few months ago a Larry Jacobus autographed index card.
I just bought that the other year.
And this is
I
mine.
wasn't sure it was real.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear that.
Thomas looked up, and there's been a few, even baseballs. He died in 1964, so it was a time when autographs were a little more accessible than they were for some of the other guys that we have done. Anyway, I'm going to leave this up here. This is not free to take. That's just to show. Everything else, we have a couple of photos. One from our Darrington product and one from our first project that Steve Douglas out of Louisville, a friend of ours, he does computerized art. He made those for us. And then yesterday I had this idea that Stuart needs a baseball card. So thanks to AI, we can't guarantee that's exactly what he looked like. That was taken off of a black and white of this one that I told AI to have him look up and get rid of the manager. And then it's not history. And I know that AI is going to destroy a lot of history. You're going to have people like Perry Thacker playing on this team if you're not careful. Ask Perry, he'll show you the picture. We have him on that team. But all of any of this is here to take. It's free. So we have cards from and I did the Stuart Jacobus instead of Larry on the card because I thought that was more appropriate for his card. Hank Gastrite, because I knew Russ and the family was here. We appreciate them. The Gastrites supporting us continually after theirs, and then Icicle Reader because he's here. Eventually I'll do the other 3. But if you want to start your baseball card collection of Gone But Not Forgotten, here it is. For the family, this and this, we'll take them out of the frames. The cemetery printed these for you all to have. So you can take the big posters with you and whatever you want to do with them. And if you want any of these pictures, we can take them all. They're just taped on there. So, all right? Anyhow, that's all I have. I feel like I'm in church. We need to pray, but we'll say we're dismissed. Thank you very much.